that the student recognizes not to come in contact with his or her skin and eyes. And then we move on to the student's tabulation of results. Now, it's very important that this student has listed quantitative results and qualitative results. So here you can see table 1, the concentration of reactants are clearly listed in each of the three tests. So volume of acid and volume of water, and final concentration, and the mass of sodium bicarbonate. So let's look here that this student has presented the raw data and has averages. That's very important for each of the three experiments. And it is in tabulated form. And it is very good that this student has also graphed what was given in the table, that he or she has constructed a line graph to represent trends in the results. Statistics is a very important part of chemistry experiments, as we can see here in the various colors, how each concentration of acid has different volumes of carbon dioxide produced. And the highest concentration has the largest volume of concentrated, carbon dioxide. Now, qualitative results are equally important. So what does that mean? This student has included the qualitative observations that are relevant to the discussion of results. So here he has used qualitative language. Vigorously, bubbling, large amount of gas bubbles. These are keywords in defining qualitative results. And he or she has talked about the 0.5 molar acid had the least vigorous and produced the least gas bubbles. Now, once the experiment is done, the student has moved on to its discussion. And so his or her discussion demonstrates scientific understanding of chemical kinetics by linking reaction rate to the initial slope of the curve. So the student has used the words steepest slope with the most, and associated it with the most carbon dioxide, and therefore the fastest reaction rate. So he has used mathematics in this way of talking in his discussion. Now, it is very important that this student has constructed evidence-based arguments based on what was mentioned in theory in the introduction. So these three graphs together show the trend that as concentration increases, the rate of reaction increases. And it's supported by collision theory. And that provides the reflection from the earlier page. So now, moving on in the discussion, it is very important for any scientific experiment, whether biology, chemistry, or physics, that the student has reflected on the reliability of results and identified the outliers as possible sources of uncertainty or bad results. So as I have mentioned earlier, the test was repeated 3 times to make sure that the results were reliable. So the student has taken an average from repeating the experiment. So the student has also reflected on the validity of the investigation and identified temperature as the only factor that may not have been perfectly controlled. So the student has thought outside the box that the lab environment may not have a consistent temperature. And the surface area was the same for all of the tests. So that is a controlled variable. And the student has also pointed out that there were no catalysts. So it is very important at the end of every experiment that the student has identified errors and more importantly, how to improve the experiments in the future. So the student has suggested alterations to the experimental method, including the use of digital technologies that would improve that reliability. So for example, filming the experiments and analyzing start and finishing times as a good strategy, using electronic balancers would have removed the measurement error. Magnetic stirrers may have been more accurate, and parallax errors based on the meniscus that have been using at eye level. So the student has also concluded that